Hi, welcome to Grab Your Keys. We are very excited today to have a fantastic entrepreneur and friend of mine. She is part of the Entrepreneurs Organization, and 5 years ago or so, I was lucky enough to meet her. She is fantastic. Her name is Angela. She is the president of 11 of out of 11. And I am so excited to hear more about your journey. I know, Angela, about your journey, but I want everyone to hear about your great story and what 11 out of 11 does.
Thanks,
So,
Sue.
what do you do, Angela?
Yeah, so 11 out of 11 in a nutshell is a content marketing and HubSpot agency. So at the end of the day, we work with business to business focused companies, so companies who sell to other businesses, and help them go south there and create their content, their thought leadership. That can look like blog articles, email campaigns, website content, social content, those sorts of things. That's one half of our business. The other half is we help companies optimize HubSpot, which is a sales CRM and marketing tool. So sometimes those two worlds blend together. Sometimes people hire us for one or the other. It just depends.
Yeah, I am just learning about HubSpot in the marketing chair that I've been in for the last year. And I have to say that I would hire you because I cannot stand it. So I am pretty much way out of my league. And I'm like, I'll be the marketing chair if I never need to get into that HubSpot.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So, so I totally understand why it is. And when you say business to business, like tell me about what that means. What can you tell our viewers about how, like, the difference of what a business to business model looks like?
Yeah, you got it. So many of us are familiar with business to consumer, right? Goods that are sold to us as consumers, shoes, watches, handbags, makeup, houses, you name it.
Yes.
Right. On the flip side, there are many businesses that purchase from other businesses. So companies who are in legal services, accounting services, culture services, leadership development, HR services, you name it, that sell to other businesses. That's really where we shine, is creating content and marketing for those types of companies. There's a couple of reasons for that. Typically, there are longer sales cycles. So when we think about, we see an ad, we're scrolling at night through Instagram. It's a really cute pair of shoes. We're like, I need those for an upcoming trip. Click, purchase. Very short sales cycle, right? In a matter of seconds, maybe minutes, we've purchased that. In the B2B world, when we're selling to other businesses, lots of times those sales cycles can be stretched out for definitely not minutes, sometimes months and months, right? And so oftentimes those companies need to really demonstrate thought leadership and build trust in order to win the sale. Lots of times, unlike shoes, which might be $200 pair of shoes, in the business to business environment, we're talking about big dollars, right? Hundreds of $1,000 contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts. So that long sales cycle eventually pays off because we got a big bag of cash at the end. But the marketing is a little bit different, and that's really what our specialty is.
Yeah. So what made you get into this type of business?
Actually, I originally went to school for photography, went back to school for marketing, and always pictured myself being a B2C marketer, marketing like Pampers, Tide, shoes, handbags, whatever. Right. I just was totally fascinated by that and thought that was so awesome. The whole Madison Avenue, New York thing just really struck my fancy. Right. In Philadelphia, we don't have as many B2C companies based here. It's where I went to school. I didn't want to move from here. Like, I really fell in love with it, even though I did a bunch of internships up in New York and kind of got that Mad Men sort of flavor. I really wanted to build my family and my roots here. And so I was kind of put into the B2B world, first job out of college, and was like, well, I guess I'll figure it out. And that's really where I've been groomed as a professional marketer. All I know. If you said, Angela, I really want to sell these handbags, tell me how, I would be a little bit of a fish out of the water. I could apply general marketing to it, but I wouldn't be as proficient as I am on the B2B side. And that's just been my grooming. It's how I've been brought up as a marketer.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've had your company for years now, since 2017. What do you think the reason for the tremendous growth that you've had has been?
Oh, been very lucky. So I want to express gratitude at the beginning. A lot of it has been the networks that I'm involved in. You mentioned EO and us meeting each other there. I've gotten involved in Vistage, which is a similar network for business owners, involved in a few female entrepreneur groups and organizations. So, when people say like, lean on your network, do networking. I hated that from the get-go. It just was not my vibe. I'm an introvert by nature, but I kind of had to like shrug that off and just get into it, right? And so it's definitely paid off for me. I think the second thing is more of a business model aspect to our growth. We work with a lot of companies on retainer. And so that recurring revenue has been a nice foundation for us, where we're not starting out every month with zero. We are starting every month out with existing client relationships and just looking to build on those, right? And so that's a nice aspect of just the type of work that we do. It kind of calls for a retainer and that monthly recurring work for us. And it's definitely helped our growth for sure.
Super. What do you feel your 3 keys to success are?
Yeah. So for me specifically, I'm a planner. So I would say planning, process, and then the last one I would say is work-life harmony for me. So I'll go into those a little bit. Like I do very few things with spontaneity. So it could be a downfall, right? For those of us who like to have fun, like I'm like, what time are we meeting there? What should I wear? Blah, 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 right? Like gotta plan all the things to a nerd level. From a business perspective, that's really helped me. Yeah. Like got my budget for next year by September of the year prior. Like I just know what we are going to do and what we need to focus on. And so that planning has served me well, as nerdy and maybe not fun as it might be.
I love planning. I agree with the planning part.
Yeah,
for sure.
The second one was process. And this is not something that comes as easy for me. You would think with planning, process goes hand in hand, but for me, it just doesn't. Like, I think it's the entrepreneur in me where I just want to go. Like, I just want to do. The big picture. Yeah, focus on the big picture. I know where I want to get. But like the idea of documenting the steps to get there, or really working on like what should come first, what should come second, like at a very granular level is like pulling out my fingernails with tweezers. Like I just don't want to do it. But my client services lead is very good about process. And she said to me recently, like working on process is what brings her joy. Like, wow, that was a light bulb moment for me. I knew she loved it, but I didn't know she loved it.
Well, you hired her to come up with a strength that you're not good at, so you can raise her up in that. Always surround yourself with people who have, greater strengths in your weaknesses.
You got it. It's been huge for us here at 11 out of 11. She's really taken charge of documenting everything from our recruiting processes to, how we use our project management tool for our clients down to invoicing and all the things in between. It's magic. And then the third was work-life harmony. This is something a lot of people talk about. It's a core, we don't call them core values. Their behaviors at 11 out of 11. So it's a core behavior that we expect everybody to own, is their own work-life harmony and what that means for them. I got my own definition. For me, it's like not coming home harried and not able to focus and be present. Like I just want to finish my day, come home, be present for my kids and family. Don't do it every day, but that's what I'm striving for. So I think without that, I would have been not as successful, to be honest, if I didn't like push the work stuff to the side sometimes.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I find it interesting that you say harmony instead of balance. Talk to me a little bit about why you picked the word harmony instead of balance.
Yeah, and for me, this is something another female entrepreneur kind of taught me in a very subtle way, was just that word change. When we think of balance, I feel like a seesaw. So if something's really heavy, it's pushing the seesaw to the bottom, if and back and forth, right? Harmony is kind of like working together and a little bit of everything all at once. And it just fit, it's semantics at the end of the day, but it fit my mental look on work life, in that you're never going to have this perfect equilibrium. It's like your kid needs you one day, but maybe not the next as much. Like it just ebbs and flows so much that it just felt right to me.
Yeah. So you have 2 children. How old are they?
They are about to turn 15 and 18.
Right. So how have you been a working mom, having harmony, and being present for your children so well, running a company?
I will say I'm in a challenging space right now because we're on college application and decision stage.
So fun. Been there, done that.
Yeah, I know. You get it. Like there's just things that, and then look, everybody's got their buckets, right? I've had surgeries for kids, sick kids, all the things that everybody.
The rest of college is a lot though, because you're like, just pick one.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
Waiting for other decisions,
and the waiting and the rejection. You don't want your kids to be rejected either, but they learn. This is where they learn. Sometimes their first rejection, because we've protected them so well.
I know.
And they're like, what? I didn't get in?
Yes.
They don't want me?
I know.
And then we're like, but they want you. They just can't take you.
Right.
We really should let them have it. Like we really should have them own it, since we need, it's all a process. Like I say, college is, you're starting it. I'm almost finished and I have 2 more years left, but I have one almost done through graduate school. So we have to let them have that process, because college is not teaching them about history or art or science. College is teaching them life. And it's so hard for us to let them have life these days.
Yeah.
And are you teaching your children to have school, work, home, harmony? Like, do they take a page out of your book? Do they know how hard you have worked to have that for them? And do they see that? Are they old enough to see that yet?
They're starting to see differences between our family and their friends. And so we do talk about that, what it means for somebody's parent to be a W-2 employee. My husband's a W-2 employee. Right. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of bonuses with that.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, versus an entrepreneur and the gifts that you get in one or the other, but they're starting to observe some of that, right? We're lucky to live in a general area where most people are doing well with their life. We're not in an impoverished area. And so there's varying degrees of what they're exposed to. Sometimes they think that maybe I wish I had done a little bit more charity work with my kids to expose them to really a true spectrum of wealth and inequality in the United States. So hopefully that's something maybe we can work on this summer before the older one goes off. But, it's so challenging to try to be perfect with what you expose your kids to and protect them from at the same time. But I will say, as they pick up on things, and I'll tell you like a quick one, it's so rewarding to be like, woo, you learned that? Yes. You're kind of like doing that secretly. A quick one that gave me a little pause recently is, I mentioned we've been through and we're just waiting to hear from the last college, and then we'll be making some decisions. My son decided to apply to 9. So it's been a long process, but we talked about scholarships, and my son said, are we going to be applying for scholarships this summer? That's something we should probably do. And he used the word we because we've been shepherding him through this process, which is frankly just a ridiculous process that I don't know how kids without parents present do it.
I have no idea either.
But I was like, to your point, Sue, he's got to start replacing that we with I. Not that we're abandoning him when he goes off to school, but he mentally needs to be ready for the I's, right?
Yeah.
Not the we's as much. And so that's the journey I'm kind of like looking for.
Yeah, and you have boys, that 18-year-old's not going to have his frontal lobe fully developed until he's 25 or 26. So buckle up, Buttercup, like literally. So as someone who has a boy who's 23 now, I only have 2 or 3 more years.
Yeah.
But they regress as they get to college, like literally regress. And as much as I don't want to say that, like as a working mom, like getting the phone calls at times has been a little crazy. And bigger kids, bigger problems, you know, but they have to live. That's part of life. And it's funny that they do use we and I, because we say it, we, and then sometimes I have to say, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to, you know, we do change it because we want, you know, we're going to the grocery store, you know, we're going to have this time together. So it is funny, but I love that your kids have that, and you're going to have a really great next year. One thing that I did love, you know, you feel like the second is never really by themselves. Like the first gets to be by themselves for, you know, 2 or 3 years before you have the second. And then you really get to have that individual one-on-one time with that second one that you never have, like day to day, because the first is out of the coop for the most part. But the fun thing that I thought is that when Allison went to college and Drew came home for something, and I got to have Drew, my oldest, home for just a small time by himself. What I do love is having each of them individually home at different times, and having that one-on-one with an adult that you've raised is super cool. And you're going to go through a lot of super cool things over the next 10 years, some super cool loving and some super cool challenging, but it's a super cool thing. And I can't say that I'm not a little sad at times that it comes to an end, because then they're really adults.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have to start adulting. And that's part of us being great parents on this second half, is really seeing the adults that we put into society. And I think that that's what we really strive for most of the time, is raising, you know, good citizens. And, you know, I love what you said about, you know, sometimes doing some more charity work. My kids went to private Catholic school, and each of them had a service trip where they went to an impoverished area. And I do think that does help, because it allows them to be in a lot of different situations without their parents there. So I thought that was really cool, because we do shepherd them a lot. Who do you admire?
You know, I've been thinking about this a lot, and it might sound like a cop-out answer, but I truthfully mean all the female entrepreneurs who came before me, because there have not been that many of them. I really feel, Sue, that you and I are part of this generation of female entrepreneurs, and we're amongst some of the first to be doing this. Sure, there's other people who have invented things and whatnot, but there's not that many that came before this. So thank goodness for those people, the females who chose an entrepreneurial path before we did.
It's really amazing how much of a glass ceiling. The glass ceiling was broken, but it wasn't shattered.
No.
And every day we're just taking little pieces of it and breaking through. You know, we definitely are still breaking through. And it's really amazing that most CEOs are men still. The majority of CEOs are men. I want to say that it's a very small percentage are women. And I think that that's just so crazy in today's world. And there's a lot of small business entrepreneurs that are women, and I think that women just need to be kind to women because of that.
You got it. Yes.
So that's what we're striving for with Grab Your Keys, is to show all different types of people and how much. But I love that you admire women who are trying to break that glass ceiling, whatever that is, in the entrepreneurial field. And I know when I merged my company with Success, I really felt that I was doing a disjustice to women, but I had gone as far as I could and as far as I wanted to, which was right for me. I mean, I'd been a CEO of a, Inc. 500 company. And, that was like super great. And it just wasn't right for me anymore with my family. And I had to be like, it's okay to pivot. And that's something really important for everyone to understand, is when it's not right, you can pivot. And that's, as women, I think we need to illustrate that men just sometimes don't do a good job of that. And that's why they have like heart attacks and everything, because they're not pivoting. So we can pivot well because we like that harmony. So if you were in any other profession, what would that profession be?
I feel like finance, to be truthful.
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel like I a little bit missed my calling, and I did not realize how much I freaking love numbers and financial management and like CFO type hats. Don't think I'll ever do it as a career, but that finesse and interest for me has served me well with business management, for sure.
And I see that you would like that, because it's very black and white, and it's like the numbers are the numbers are the numbers. Like that's where finance is really great, and there's so many different avenues of finance too.
I know. I love it.
I love that. That's awesome. So what's in the future for Angela?
Yeah. So future for me is taking Love and Out to the next level, right? I love being part of EO Entrepreneurs Organization because everybody around there is so focused on growth at different degrees, right? But it's a really good community to be part of. And there's some other passion projects that I am looking forward to working on the side, for me, to be totally truthful. I do some consulting on the side, always have, probably always will. It's still marketing consulting, but it allows me to get really close to a client in a way that 11 out of 11 does not, because we've built this great team. And I'm looking forward to building our first short-term rental property. So
that is exciting. Yeah,
that'll be fun. It's something different. And I'm sure I will learn a ton and make a bunch of mistakes, but I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Well, you only learn from making mistakes.
Yeah.
That's the way you learn the most.
Totally.
So I love, as much, and I always say, when I make a mistake, it's a really big mistake, but I always learn from that mistake.
Yeah.
So I love that. Well, I am super excited that you've given us so many keys today, especially with the 3 keys of planning, process, and I love the work, home balance, harmony. Harmony. So thank you so much, everyone. If you've enjoyed Grab Your Keys today, we would love you to share or like and comment, and definitely tell people to come and listen to Grab Your Keys. Have a great day.